February 20th meeting of the West Sacramento Area Flood Control Agency. To begin, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, and one nation, under God, indivisible. Thank you. Short agenda today, but the first order of business is to report out on closed session. Council?
Yes, the board met in closed session on the two items on the agenda, and no reportable action was taken.
Thank you. Second item, presentation by the public on matters not on the agenda. I know we do have one person today, Nicole Sears. Please join us here at the podium. Good morning.
Good morning. So my name is Nicole Sears, and I am a resident I'm a homeowner in the neighborhood of Bright, near the water resources, the levee and the big facility they have there. And I've attended this meeting before when it was all virtual to report out concern I had about seepage and erosion on that levee. And I know that the project has gone out to bid, or it's in design phase, but I can't seem to find information that's good about it online, about the status of it and when it's going to be repaired. And every time it rains and the water's up high, this video I want to show you is from last week. It's pretty clear on the street side that there's significant seepage. And my untrained eye, I'm a scientist, not an engineer. I worked previously with Greg Dabin, but I guess he's retired since then. For the new.
I'm just a member of the the Flood Control Board.
Yep,
and then I think most of that issues you're bringing up, you're right, there is design going on, but there's also maintenance being performed by the Reclamation District as well.
On that levee?
On that levee.
I know that they do go maybe, in the spring after the rains have ended and the water's back down, they do usually dump sand on cracks and things that have formed. But and this year we didn't have the same heaviness of the rain, so it didn't erode as much as it has previous years, but it still is concerning for someone who lives in that neighborhood not knowing what's going on. When I do a search on Google for the West Sacramento River North levee, the flood insurance website for the city comes up, and it actually says that, you might want to recommend, update that website. It says that by 2025, I actually saw yesterday when I was looking at these websites, 2025, 2030, and 2040 being listed as final dates that things need to be in order with levees. And I don't know if the new flood insurance mapping has been done, but something else that you guys have to look into.
Okay, I think I may be a little off. That may be part of Maintenance Area 4, which actually is maintained by the state of California.
Right. Yeah, that was my understanding. That's their section of levee. My attempts to reach them have not been responded to. The levee protects everyone in the city, even though you would think that you guys might have some hand there. I don't know what else to do, really, because it is concerning. We have the video just to show you what I'm talking about.
You have it, Jen?
Basically, when you're walking along Riverbank Avenue, or road, or whatever it's called, there'll be a long section of clear runoff during rain events. So this is the clear side, and then there's a drain, but it gets extremely cloudy on the other side of that, and just looks like a different. And that area was all flooded. This is just a short video. I have years of documentation of this, but I think it demonstrates pretty well the difference there. One side of a drain, there's crystal clear water, and the other side, extremely turbid. I know it's only an issue if the water is really high. I know it's a wide levee there, but still, as a resident of that area, I carry a FEMA policy, but I would imagine that almost nobody, right, has a FEMA. Like another $1,000 on.
Well, we have the video now. We can forward that on to the
thank you, Water Resources,
to the state, and design is going on for that area, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
When is it going to be built? When's it going to be, the work going to be done?
Mr. Chair, is this something that perhaps, like, I know we're not supposed to address public comment,
know.
but it's something that they could maybe, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
contractor.
Thank you.
Yeah, both of us can do that. You can reach out to me too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, not seeing anyone else. We will move on to the monthly year-to-date revenue and expenses.
Good morning, members of the board and staff. I'll be reporting out on the revenue and expenses for the month of December 2024. In Fund 870, the beginning balance was approximately $8.37 million. The agency received $420,000 from tax assessment, and those were the handbills that Will Dan, our assessment administration, sent out. And our expenses were $22,000, making the ending position at $8.76 million. In Fund 871, the beginning balance was $23.22 million. The agency received $448 from interest earnings, and expenses were $213,000, making the ending position for Fund 871 at $23 million. The year-to-date cash position for 870, 871, and the state advance is $56.77 million at the end of December. And as of February 10th, that amount is now at $54.41 million. Staff did submit the working kind packages 16 through 18, and that's all the way through the calendar year of 2024. And the agency did receive its first installment of assessments in January, and that was $2,937.42. And that's actually about a 2.5% increase from last year's first installment. And so that aligns with what the board approved, I believe, back in April. So with that, I have nothing else to report. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Questions?
Thank you.
Hearing or seeing none, thank you very much. We'll move on to our consent agenda, which has two items today. One is consideration of an amendment to a contract with REY Engineers for the Sacramento River North Levee Project, speaking of the Sacramento River North Levee Project. And then also our approval of December 19th, 2024 minutes, and we did not have a meeting in January.
I'll move the consent agenda.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Regular agenda, first item is item 4A, is the general manager appointment. If you recall, back in December, we appointed Mr. Paul Dirksen Jr. as interim general manager, and I'd like to make the motion after a search by the city of West Sacramento that we approve Paul Dirksen as the permanent general manager of Wsafca.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimous. On to 4B, Wsafca project updates. Paul?
Thank you, Chairman Ramos, members of the board. Just a few highlights I'd like to share with you. In terms of the Southport mitigation area, the 5-year monitoring report has been completed. It's going to be sent to the Army Corps of Engineers, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the resource agencies. The report shows that the project is meeting nearly all of its, many of its performance goals for mitigation. The project has matured quite a bit, and the low flow channel that was part of design is no longer functioning as designed. That low flow channel was intended to provide additional fish passage. And while the floodplain does activate during high water periods, when the river is high, the low flow channel has accreted or had bunch of deposition at the inlets, and so it's no longer flowing the way that it was originally designed. So we'll be having conversations with the Army Corps of Engineers about how that is operating and what its mitigation values, just to let you know. As far as the federal project goes, we did meet with the Army Corps of Engineers at our monthly budget and cost sharing meeting. The Army Corps is developing a cash request letter for the 5% cash required through the project partnership agreement. And based on the 2024 appropriations, that amount will probably would approximate about $2.7 million. However, the request may be larger on account of anticipated work that's happening in fiscal year 2025. We'll report out next month if that cash contribution will be made. Related to that, at the next meeting, I believe that we'll be taking, or the finance department will be bringing to you a request to be able to accept money from the flood in lieu fee, make some of these payments, make this payment particularly, and perhaps a couple of other initiatives that are coming forth for the project. Today's contract amendment with RE Wise will help the design team by investigating the changes that have occurred along the Sac River North levee reach, smaller trees that may be impacted by the levee construction project. And the other thing something else I'd like to report out is that the Army Corps, Department of Water Resources, we met with the the State Parks Department for the Indian Heritage Center site. The California Indian Heritage Center presented a number of conceptual plans in reaction to the 30% design that the Army Corps has produced so far. Because much of the Indian Heritage site will be waterward of the levee improvements, they will have to go through a Central Valley Flood Protection Board approval and a 408 process. And so we're just trying to work with them as best we can, knowing that the levee improvements are going to take up some parts of that property for those improvements, and trying to define what the extent of the improvements would be, as well as our construction area. So these will be ongoing conversations that we'll be having with state parks. I'd like to also let you know that recruitment is underway to bring another staff person onto the flood team. So we're advertising for a civil engineer position. We've cast a wide net so that we're not quite sure what level of engineer, but hopefully we'll get plenty of applicants, and that closes out on March 6th. And in conclusion, at the next meeting, I'm anticipating that bringing a borrow option agreement with the port to you for your approval to secure 500,000 cubic yards of material for upcoming levee projects. So this is kind of anticipation for the future projects that we're going to be building, or that the Corps will be initiating. I already talked about the flood in Lupe, and I believe we'll also be bringing to you a request to appropriate funds for an agreement with the Union Pacific Railroad Company. They have a preliminary engineering design requirement as we're trying to look at what kind of closure structure would go across the UPRR line over near the I Street project. So those are some upcoming agenda items that you can anticipate. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Are there any questions? The in lieu fee, where does that money collected by the city and then is brought over to our account at some point?
That's right. So we have as development occurs, they pay an in lieu fee into a fund. So that fund is managed by the finance department, and they reach out to us I would say once or twice a year to let us know what the balance is. The conversations with them has been, if you have some projects coming forward, there's there may be an appropriate use for, it. It's directly related to flood protection. So we just have to show that the request matches what the in lieu fee was designed to do. And so that's what we're working through right now.
That was there to fund the local share
That's right.
along with the assessment. Okay. Thank you. On to 4C. If any of the directors have comments?
I do. Chair.
Go ahead.
At last night's RD 900 meeting, Mayor Guerrero mentioned that RD 537 may be removing itself from RJPA, and there was staff doing some work on that. And I'm just kind of wondering if we have any update on process or timeline, and the timeline for us to get information about this, to be able to compare if it's happening in March or April, and in what meetings this will be discussed.
I think March would be premature, but we're doing some due diligence right now at the request of the Reclamation District, and we would anticipate bringing something back to you in either May or June.
Would it first stop here at Wsafca?
It will have, because of the JPA's nature, it will have to go through both reclamation boards as well as the city council. So, and then come the Wsafca. So it's a kind of it'll be 3 meetings at least.
That's helpful. Thank you.
And I would probably add, I don't know if our board here has any involvement in it other than the, like 3 entities that are involved. Would, be some deciding on how the process would work, and we would complete it then. What the makeup of the JPA going forward, would have to be decided by the 3 of us. But in reality, RD 537 is kind of letting you folks decide how you want to go forward. So that would be the process. Any other comments? Hearing none, we will adjourn. Thank you very much.